It's always a little hard when you're one of the last ones to speak because your predecessors would have spoken most of the points what you want to say also. And also it looks like there were a lot of inputs where there's so much about, optimism about job creation, and then a little bit pessimism of maybe the jobs will go away because of the advent of AI. But one thing we need to really remember is from the decades we've been coming along, there was a lot of changes, and we all know change is the constant. And with every challenges that we face, opportunities come about. And I think we all know that. I know we had the biggest challenge of the pandemic, which started like a couple of years back, but we really came out very well out of it. And I think India was one of the countries which did pretty well. And we really leapfrogged when it comes to digitization because of this pandemic. So now, TPOs, you people form a very critical, and you're like the bridge for the industry and the institution. And I think you know that because you are the force behind the students to make them employable. And of course, we look forward to you because we want students who are employable. And there has been a struggle because I'm not sort of trying to, blame you, but maybe like what Ravi Garu said, using this AI, maybe you need to sort of even, skill and reskill yourself so that, the students become more employable. And when it comes to that, we are not really talking about the top students. The cream of the students will always anyway get employed anywhere. It is the average students. And then again, what my predecessor R.L. Narayana said, BPO industry is always there to take those average students, and which is a large base of students which we can take. But here also we are struggling to really get the right qualified students. So I think the role what you play is very, very important. Either whether you can say it's the communication, technical skills, and also getting some exposure to industry before they really become employable. And I think you have to play a big role when it comes to getting them ready for the employment. And I know you conduct trainings, and I've seen, in fact, I was just reading an article, because to tell you the truth, I really didn't know much about what the TPOs really do, and I'm sorry about that. So when I was reading, I heard that there were generally two types. Some TPOs who concentrate mostly on just the placement of the students, and some TPOs who concentrate the training right from the first year. And I think it's very important to have a mix of that. And I'm sure some of you must be really doing that, because that's what is really going to help the students to be placed well. And talking about students to be placed, I know you must be conducting workshops, having some CEO speakers coming in. My suggestion is also try to call people with just about 2 or 3 years of experience who are in employment, because the students can relate more easily to them, because they can really tell what is to be expected when you are going to come into the workspace. So that's one thing I really want to tell. Another very important thing what I wanted to really mention was about networking. A lot of people really miss out on that. And this networking is not just for people who are employed. It starts right from the student level. Now, what is this about networking? Well, networking is two types. One is physical networking, where the students even go for conferences, outside conferences, or have inter-college, debates or sports, because it gives them a very good awareness as to what to really expect and how are different people, how do they actually, sort of mingle with people, because this really helps them when they come into workforce. So that's the physical. And the next important thing is about the social media. I know most of the students are there, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. But when it comes to LinkedIn, in fact, recently when I went to a college to, talk, when I asked them how many of you are on LinkedIn, I just hardly saw a few hands up. I mean, that is shocking. I think in this age, it's really very, very important to be professionally aware also as to what it is to be in social media. Because this LinkedIn doesn't, it tells you about, what it is to be a professional. There are so many articles for them to be, to go through it, which is related to profession, and also to start making connections even before you actually become employed. And this definitely is very, very helpful. And I think that is one of the most important thing which, as TPOs, you need to really inculcate into the students. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is about women being in the, whether it's students or in the workspace. I think students, we've done really well. Women are really outshining. Recently, I think when the 10th results came, or intermediate, I don't really remember, it looks like the women were outshone compared to the men. So education ways, we are doing really well. But when it comes to workplace, they are still dropping off. I mean, maybe they join in good numbers, but right when they're starting to come into, slowly to the leadership positions, they are falling off. I mean, just look at here, right here in the TPOs. How many women are here? 10%? Why? That is something to really think about. I mean, imagine if the students are coming here, and if they see there's so less women here, how can we expect them to stick on to jobs and take up jobs also? So this is something which is really to deliberate on. I think it is very important to have diversity. We have great diversity in the education institutions, but this needs to go on even to the workspace. So with this, I really thank for this opportunity, and you're always welcome if you want to interact with us and with the companies, we'll be available. Thank you so much.